All right, let's dive deep into blockchain. You wanted to go way beyond just Bitcoin, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I
Absolutely.
mean, sure, Bitcoin's been pretty crazy this past week, right?
Yeah.
Going below $80,000 and then back up past 105,000.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster ride for sure. But that's not what we're talking about today. What we want to talk about is all of the ways that blockchain is being used that have nothing to do with cryptocurrency.
Right, exactly. There are so many surprising applications out there.
I know. And that's what we're going to uncover today, like how it's being used in industries from healthcare to music to even changing the way we use the internet.
It's really mind-blowing stuff.
I know. I'm excited to get into it. But first, let's start with something I think we can all relate to, food.
Okay.
I was reading about IBM Food Trust, which uses blockchain to track food,
Correct.
all the way from the farm to our table.
Right.
It's like having a digital detective for our groceries.
I love that analogy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great way to put it. It's all about transparency and accountability in the supply chain. So IBM Food Trust uses a distributed ledger. Basically, everyone involved, from the farmer to the grocery store, can track the journey of, a head of lettuce or whatever in real time.
Oh, wow.
Which means if there's ever a contamination scare, they can quickly figure out where it came from and prevent a huge outbreak.
That's amazing. It sounds like, blockchain could really revolutionize food safety and give us consumers peace of mind.
Yeah,
We can actually know where our food is coming from.
exactly. And that same idea of transparency can be used in other industries too, like healthcare, for example. Have you heard of MedRec?
MedRec. No, tell me about it.
Well, it's using blockchain to create secure medical records that can be shared between different healthcare providers.
Okay, so what does that actually mean?
Well, right now, patient data is kind of all over the place, different doctors' offices, hospitals. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare if you ever have to switch doctors.
Right. And that's a problem. So MedRec uses blockchain to basically create one secure platform where you, as a patient, control your own records.
So instead of having my medical records spread out everywhere, it would all be in one place that I control.
Yep. And you can decide who has access to it.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Exactly. It's about putting the power back in the hands of patients.
I love it. And it seems like we're seeing this theme of decentralization popping up everywhere. Like, we're talking about healthcare, we talked about food. What about our digital identities?
Oh, yeah. Great point. And there are already projects working on that. Like, have you heard of Microsoft's Ion N project?
Ion N. I haven't heard of that one. Tell me more.
It's pretty cool. It's a decentralized identity system that they're building on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Okay.
So right now, we rely on, these big tech companies to verify who we are online.
Right. It's like Facebook and Google are the gatekeepers of our digital lives.
Exactly. And that's a problem because it means they have all the power. But with ION, you would basically hold your own digital ID. It gives you way more control over your own data.
No more relying on Facebook or Google to tell everyone who I am online.
Exactly.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So we've got food, healthcare, our identities. What else is out there?
Well, how about voting? Have you ever thought about how blockchain could make elections more secure?
Actually, yeah, I've heard about blockchain-based voting systems, but I'm not really sure how they work.
Well, there are platforms like Votes that are using blockchain to basically record and verify every vote.
So does that make it, impossible to tamper with the results?
Pretty much. It's incredibly secure and transparent.
That's amazing. But are there any downsides to using blockchain for voting?
Well, cybersecurity is always going to be a concern with any technology.
Right, of course.
But the thing is, blockchain-based systems have the potential to be way more transparent and tamper-proof than the systems we use now.
It definitely seems like it could be a big step towards making our elections more trustworthy.
I think so.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to see how blockchain's impact goes way beyond finance.
It really does.
It's like this technology with so many different facets that could touch basically every part of our lives.
Absolutely. And we're just getting started.
I know, there's so much more to explore.
There is. Oh, and we haven't even talked about how blockchain's revolutionizing the music industry.
Yeah, actually, that's something I've been super curious about. I mean, I love discovering new music, but it seems like artists don't always get a fair deal from these streaming platforms,
Exactly. It's a problem. But there are some really cool solutions emerging. Like, have you heard of Audius?
Audius.
Yeah, it's a music streaming platform, but it's built on blockchain, so it completely cuts out the middleman.
Oh, wow. So what does that mean for the artists?
It means they get paid directly for their streams. No more record labels or streaming services taking a huge cut.
That's amazing. So the artists get to keep more of the money they earn.
Exactly. It puts the power back in the hands of the creators.
I love that. Are there any other platforms like this popping up?
Yeah, for sure. NFTs are becoming a huge deal in the art world, and music is no exception.
NFTs, those are non-fungible tokens, right?
Right, they're basically unique digital assets that can be bought and sold.
Yeah, I've heard about them, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how they actually work. Like, how does blockchain ensure that they're authentic? You know,
Hmm.
that someone can't just copy them.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Each NFT has a unique identifier that's recorded on the blockchain, so it's impossible to counterfeit.
So it's like having a digital certificate of authenticity that can never be forged.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to art. NFTs are being used for all sorts of digital assets now: music, videos, virtual real estate, you name it.
Oh, wow. So are we talking about those virtual worlds like the metaverse? Are those built on blockchain too?
Yeah. Platforms like Decentraland are using blockchain and NFTs to create these entire virtual economies. You can buy land, build stuff, even create experiences for others to visit.
That sounds wild. I mean, it's like a whole new level of digital ownership.
Huh. It is. And it's not just about gaming. These virtual worlds could change the way we work, learn, even how we socialize.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. Okay, I'm totally convinced now. Blockchain's potential is way bigger than I ever imagined.
It's mind-blowing stuff, right?
But before we move on, I actually have a question about something you mentioned earlier, smart contracts.
Okay.
I've heard the term, but I'm not totally clear on how they work.
Well, think of it this way. It's basically a contract, but instead of being written on paper, it's written in code and stored on the blockchain.
Okay.
And because it's on the blockchain, it's automatically executed when certain conditions are met.
So there's no need for a third party to, like, enforce the agreement.
Exactly. It's all automated and transparent.
So, like with that real estate platform you mentioned, Proppy, how would a smart contract work there?
So let's say you're buying a house. Instead of going through all the paperwork and lawyers and everything, the entire transaction could be handled by a smart contract. The money's held in escrow, and once all the conditions are met, like the inspection and the title search, the funds are automatically released to the seller, and the ownership is transferred to the buyer.
Wow, so it cuts out all the middlemen and makes the process way faster and cheaper.
Exactly. And because it's all recorded on the blockchain, it's super secure and transparent.
That's incredible. And I know there are similar applications in other industries too, right? Like energy, for example.
Yeah, definitely. Like Power Ledger is using blockchain to enable peer-to-peer energy trading.
Oh, yeah. I read about that. It lets people sell excess solar energy to their neighbors.
Exactly. So if you have solar panels on your house and you're generating more energy than you need, you can sell it directly to someone else in your community using Power Ledger.
That's so cool. It's like creating this localized, sustainable energy grid.
Exactly. It's about decentralizing power, both literally and figuratively.
Okay, I'm seriously blown away by all of this. But I do have to ask, with all this amazing potential, are there any, like, downsides to blockchain? I mean, it can't all be sunshine and roses, right?
Well, no technology is perfect, and blockchain definitely has its challenges. One of the big ones is scalability.
Scalability.
Yeah, it's basically how well the technology can handle a lot of transactions. As more people and businesses start using blockchain, the networks can get congested.
So it's like a traffic jam on the blockchain?
Kind of, yeah. And that can lead to slower transactions and higher fees. It's something that developers are working on, but it's still a hurdle.
Okay, that makes sense. What about regulation? I mean, governments are still trying to figure out how to deal with all of this, right?
Oh, yeah. Regulation is definitely a big question mark right now. And that uncertainty can make it hard for businesses to innovate and adopt blockchain technology.
It seems like finding the right balance between, encouraging innovation and protecting people is really tricky.
It is. It's a delicate dance. And then there's the whole issue of energy consumption.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Some people are concerned about the environmental impact of blockchain, right?
Right. And it's a valid concern. Some blockchain networks, especially the ones that use a proof of work system, can use a lot of energy.
So is there anything being done to address that?
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of projects that are switching to more energy efficient systems like proof of stake.
Okay.
And there are also efforts to explore using renewable energy to power blockchain networks.
That's good to hear. So it sounds like the blockchain community is aware of these challenges and is working to find solutions.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I want to circle back to that mystery we talked about earlier, the hunt for Satoshi Nakamoto.
Ah, yes. The elusive creator of Bitcoin. Ready to dive back into that rabbit hole.
Always. But before we get into all the theories, I'm just curious, why do you think this mystery is still so fascinating to people? Why are we so obsessed with finding out who Satoshi is?
Well, I think it's partly the intrigue, you know? This anonymous figure who created this revolutionary technology and then just disappeared. It's like a real-life mystery novel.
It is, and there's so much speculation.
Right, but I think it's also about more than just curiosity. The search for Satoshi is kind of a search for meaning in this whole decentralized world.
Like, if we understand the creator, we can better understand the creation.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Okay, so what are some of the latest theories about Satoshi that have caught your attention?
Well, one that I find really interesting is the link between Satoshi and Jack Dorsey, the co-founder of Twitter.
Oh, yeah, that one's been making the rounds.
There are some interesting coincidences there, and their timelines and interests seem to overlap in a few ways.
Yeah, and some of Dorsey's public statements about Bitcoin have definitely fueled the speculation.
And then there's the whole mystery surrounding Satoshi's Bitcoin fortune, which is supposed to be worth billions.
Imagine if that fortune were suddenly revealed. It would be insane.
Right. It would send shockwaves through the entire financial world. And it would make you wonder what Satoshi would do with all that money.
Would they use it to further develop blockchain technology? Would they donate it to charity? Or would they just, like, stay hidden and watch the world burn?
Who knows? It's part of what makes this whole thing so captivating.
Exactly. It's a mystery that might never be solved.
Maybe not. But people are still trying. Remember that press release last year that claimed to reveal Satoshi's identity?
Oh, yeah, that was a whole thing. It turned out to be a bust.
Total bust. The crypto community saw right through it.
Why do you think people were so quick to dismiss it?
Well, there have been so many fake Satoshi reveals over the years that people are just skeptical now.
They've been burned too many times.
Exactly. But there was one recent development that I found pretty interesting. The suggestion that the crypto exchange Kraken might have some data related to Satoshi's identity.
Oh, yeah, the Kraken connection. What's that all about?
Well, it stems from Kraken's acquisition of Cavertex, which was a Canadian exchange that handled some of Satoshi's last known transactions.
So you think the key to this whole mystery could be sitting on Kraken servers?
Maybe. It's definitely an intriguing possibility.
It is. But even if Kraken doesn't hold the answer, I have a feeling the search for Satoshi is going to continue for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. This mystery is too juicy to let go of.
It's a reminder that even in this digital age, some mysteries are just too good to solve.
And sometimes the mystery is more exciting than the answer.
It's funny, we've talked about how blockchain could change things and the challenges it faces. But we keep coming back to Satoshi Nakamoto. It's like, if we can understand their motivation, maybe it could help us figure out how to navigate this future in the right way, responsibly.
It really is fascinating, isn't it? We've got this game-changing technology, and yet nobody knows where it came from, who's behind it. I think it speaks to that decentralized idea.
Yeah.
That big change can come from anywhere, even from someone who wants to stay completely anonymous.
It makes you wonder, if Satoshi were to show up today, what would they think of how we're using blockchain? Would they be excited about how far it's come? Or maybe worried about where we're taking it?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's tough to say for sure. I think Satoshi would be amazed by all the innovation we've seen, but maybe also a little cautious.
Cautious? In what way?
Well, Satoshi's vision for Bitcoin was to create a decentralized peer-to-peer money system. So I think they'd be pretty wary of anyone trying to, grab control or power within the blockchain world.
So they wouldn't be too happy about things like government overregulation or big companies dominating the scene?
Definitely not. I think Satoshi would be all about keeping blockchain open and accessible for everyone.
It's a good reminder that the real power of blockchain comes from giving power to individuals, not concentrating it in the hands of a few.
Exactly. And, I think Satoshi would also be worried about blockchain being used for bad stuff, like money laundering or scams or anything illegal.
Yeah, I guess any powerful tool can be used for good or evil.
Right, exactly. It's up to us to make sure it's used for the right reasons, ethically.
That's a big responsibility.
It is, but it's also an exciting opportunity. The future of blockchain isn't set in stone. It's being created right now by the choices we make.
So what we do today actually matters.
It absolutely does. The innovations we go for, the values we stick to, it all shapes where blockchain goes from here.
Wow. So when we all kind of Satoshi now.
In a way, yeah. We all have a part to play in building this decentralized future.
Okay, I like that idea. It's inspiring, but also, a little daunting.
It is a lot to think about. But that's what makes it so exciting. We're exploring uncharted territory here, and that comes with a sense of adventure,
Absolutely. Well, we've covered so much in this deep dive, from
Yeah.
all the cool ways blockchain is being used to, of course, the big mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto. So before we wrap up, is there anything else we should touch on?
I think we've hit all the major points.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I've learned so much today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of blockchain. We hope you're leaving feeling just as energized and, honestly, a little mind-blown as we are.
It is mind-blowing stuff.
But here's the thing. Even though this deep dive is over, the conversation doesn't have to end here. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and who knows, maybe one of you will be the one to finally crack the code and discover the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. Until next time, happy exploring.